options that utilize the kinetic energy of the Earth. Wind, sun, geothermal, and wave power are free for the taking. The initial costs might be higher, but you're probably not driving the cheapest car you can buy. You're probably not living in the cheapest house you can find. You're probably not eating the cheapest food. Why would we even consider decades of dirty, dangerous, and even ecocidal power generation just because our utility companies want the highest profits with the cheapest upfront cost? New designs continue to be developed that increase windmills' efficiency, reliability, and decrease their costs. Energy storage systems utilizing technologies such as flywheels or compressed air are becoming even more practical. And don't believe the hype that fossil fuels are always cheap. As an example, Xcel Energy, a local utility in Colorado, has already charged less for wind-generated electricity than that generated from fossil fuel. We have seen gas prices rise. We have seen natural gas prices rise. We have seen coal prices rise. The price of wind and sunlight will always be free. Investors have recently realized this. The stock market value of all of the larger renewable energy firms has recently doubled. Part of the reason for investor enthusiasm is that new alternative power technology keeps being developed. Substantial advances in photovoltaic solar cells have been made recently. Solar energy is now cheaper and more practical than ever. The company NanoSolar now has a factory that will mass produce solar panels that will generate electricity cheaper than coal or nuclear. Of course, widely distributed solar power generators don't lend themselves well to the utility company's desire to mass produce and control the distribution of power. The best place to put solar panels is on rooftops because no additional land is required. But if everyone were to have solar panels on their roofs, generating their own electricity, there would be less of a need for big centralized power companies. Consequently, you can expect conventional power companies to tell us that distributed power generation is impractical, no matter how it's generated. They want to control supply. A new type of power company has grown out of this dilemma. This power company, Citizenry, rents solar cells. Citizenry Corporation pays for, installs, owns, and operates the solar installation. All you are required to do is pay for the electricity generated from these panels at a fixed rate that is at or below your current electricity price. As the price of electricity generated by fossil fuels continues to rise, the public will become ever more willing to commit to solar energy. In fact, this may be the unintended driving force behind the conventional utility companies' desire to generate the cheapest power possible, no matter what the environmental cost. Evidently, coal can't compete any other way. The big risk for conventional utility companies is that, by committing to decades of coal-fired power, they will be stuck with antiquated technology. As the price of coal rises, which is virtually inevitable, they could lose billions. Unless, of course, the American government has guaranteed their power plant loans or subsidizes their industry even more. If so, the American public will be stuck with the bill for the utility company's poor decisions. The truth is, we already are. You may be familiar with the term corporate welfare. These big businesses' hidden agenda is for taxpayers and ratepayers to burden the risk. Conventional business thinking in our economy is to privatize the profits and socialize the costs. Conventional economic thinking is to only be concerned with the bottom line of a myopic and outdated accounting system. Conventional thinking even has Southern Nevada Water Authority convinced that they should drill for 200,000 acre-feet of water a year in the desert, pipe it for up to 250 miles, and power the whole operation with coal-fired power plants. Conventional thinking has us draining our nation's water reserves, intensifying global warming, and destroying our rural areas. It's time to start thinking outside of the box. Someday, short-term profits for a few at the expense of our communities will be a crime. Someday soon, coal-fired power plants will have to pay a carbon tax. Unfortunately, rural Nevada can't afford to wait for someday. But the good news is this is just a matter of choice. All our society has to do is make the commitment to do what is right. A thermal solar power plant is being built in Boulder City, Nevada by a company called Solargenics. This solar power plant does not rely on photovoltaics. Instead, concentrating mirrors focus light onto oil and heats water to steam in a conventional turbine, resulting in the lowest cost solar energy that can be produced today. What is especially appealing about this type of design is that the water can also be desalinated. If Nevada were to install these thermal solar plants along the coast, we could supply California with desalinated water in exchange for a larger allotment of the Colorado River, which could eliminate southern Nevada's need to take water from rural Nevada, and also the need to build coal-fired power plants. Solar desalination is not the only option, though. For years, reverse osmosis desalination has been accomplished routinely on cruise ships. The equipment is already available for offshore desalination for coastal cities. In fact, an offshore desalination plant already exists off the coast of Greece and on islands in the Baltic Sea and off the coast of Spain. Here in the U.S., an offer to build offshore desalination plants on ships off the coast of Monterey, California, is already being considered. Conventional desalination plants are built on the coast, usually with their own dedicated power plant nearby. The primary drawback of reverse osmosis desalination is that the process presently requires a lot of energy, but these limitations are being overcome. New breakthroughs have already been published in scientific journals. In fact, by the time the proposed groundwater development pipeline network into rural Nevada is built, it will likely be cheaper to desalinate seawater, especially since deep wells often draw saline water, which might add the cost of desalination to the cost of drilling, pumping, and piping rural Nevada's water away. If southern Nevada were to build a fleet of desalination units on barges with electricity from wave-powered generators, not only would their cost be stable for decades to come, but they would sometimes have excess power to sell. Most importantly, however, there would be far less damage to the environment. We all know that there are only so many natural places left on the planet. There are only so many natural resources we have left to exploit. We are starting to realize that allowing others to squander the last of our natural wealth for a quick profit is not best for us in the long run. It's time to vote with our pocketbooks. There is a trend developing. Since Google installed photovoltaic solar panels on their office complex, other companies have noticed the goodwill the company has received. Walmart is now considering installing as much as 100 megawatts of solar-generated power over the next 5 years. Some may accuse Walmart of just trying to improve their tarnished image. But every company should be trying to improve their image. The most important asset of a brand is its likability. And people like companies that live to a higher standard than they themselves do. Walmart has realized that solar panels on the ceiling speak louder than any radio ad. Solar panels say more than any newspaper ad. And what they say is that Walmart cares. Any company can follow the Google example, and the result is the same, a more likable company. There is a trend developing that companies could join to improve their image by doing something worthy of improving their image. Solar panels and windmills could end up being like billboards, without words that undeniably say to the public, we intend to do everything we can to make the world of the future a better place.